Good evening. Welcome back to Mystic Matters. We are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. Good evening, Kristin.
Good evening, Susette.
Well, are we surviving?
I am still on the adrenaline of the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival.
We survived, correct?
We survived.
Yeah.
It was wonderful, as usual.
Yeah.
I won't get tired till Thursday.
And then
That's
we'll
what
be back up to speed again to end the summer with the whatever's going on at the
End of summer. I'm not listening to
You know,
that.
it's really funny. Kristin and all of us involved at the Chamber of Commerce, I sat on a couple of meetings for our chamber gala. And we're in the process of trying to figure that out. And, you know, it's December 12th. It's 102 degrees sitting in the conference room at the Mystic Chamber of Commerce thinking about December. Okay, so I just want to let everybody know that we're way ahead of the schedule.
Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah. But again, this is what we do.
This is what we do,
Yeah,
and we've been doing a lot more of it lately. I can say one of the things that we're doing is tomorrow is the business after hours at C.C. O'Brien's. And so that is like an Irish pubby type of place over in Pawcatuck.
We have to go, yes.
You have to go,
Yeah.
yes. And I'm going to stay after for trivia.
Absolutely.
They do trivia every Tuesday
night.
night.
That's right. I think Bob O'Shaughnessy, one of my police commissioners, does trivia over there. I'm
right?
not sure.
So he's going to feel right at home.
Yeah.
Anyway, they've been great members for years and years, and they're in Pawcatuck, right near the Westerly line, and she's a great woman, so we're excited to be there.
Wow.
See you there.
So what else is going on?
That's it.
That's
all.
it?
That's
You mean after the art festival, we only have that one thing going on?
I'm not going to tell anybody anything that's going on.
Well, but we will be telling you because we have fall festival and all that.
We do a fall festival and
the gala and all that other stuff going on.
Well, we are
just a little bit of a reminder that Kristin and I do Mystic Matters, and we're happy to. Kristin actually produces the show with the help of Frank and Frank in the back. But this is also one of your member benefits. So if you want to sign up with Mystic Matters, get a hold of Kristin. She's be more than happy to sign you up. But again, take advantage of it, showcase your nonprofits, your business, and of course, we just got off the art festival, so that's great.
Well, I'm putting together the schedule for the business after hours and the business before hours for next year too. So
get a hold of Kristin.
Our president.
We got a little bit of a surprise. We've got some action going on here too. So on that note, I'm going to let Kristin introduce our guest.
So
because I'm going to tell you why.
I met Lori Robishaw a few years ago at the hackathon, I think.
Yes.
And when
welcome,
she just started.
Lori.
Thank you.
Yes.
Welcome. Lori is from the Grua Center in Stonington.
Executive Director.
Yep.
Yeah. And the reason I said, Lori, I said, Kristin, you have to introduce Lori because all these years
I've been pronouncing her name wrong, and she hasn't corrected me. She's so kind. But we were at the hackathon. We were talking marketing. We were talking regional, and she had some great ideas because she had just arrived, and so I was very impressed with her, as if that's something to put on your lapel. But and we're so pleased with what you've done with the Grua Center. Is amazing.
Gosh, Lori, just great. So the Grua Center is obviously located on Water Street in Stonington. So we've got that 32 Water Street right in the bottom of the screen there. But we say the Grua Center. We talk about it. The people in Mystic and Stonington, we just know it. The Grua Center. But what is the history of the Grua Center? If you're talking to people, come in my store and say there's something going on at the Grua Center. Where's the Grua Center, and what does that mean?
I'm happy to help with that because I'm glad to hear that some people do know about it. What I've discovered is that many more people don't know about it.
Yes.
It's sort of a hidden treasure. There is an interesting history for people from around here, and I'm not one of them, so I've enjoyed learning about it. The building, right now we're the public space in a condominium association called the Stonington Community Commons. But 150, 60 years ago, it was the Trumbull Company. It was, I think, an arsenal where they made guns. Then it was the Atwood Machine Company, where I think some of the things they did was making thread. That was for many years. Then it was a Monsanto plant. Then there was a big, horrible fire. And then they rebuilt, and now they're beautiful condominiums, house condos, as well as apartment condos, and the Stonington Harbor Yacht Club and Grua Center. So we are the public space there. We've been around, we just finished our 11th year of operations. Wow. And the name comes from Maurice and Winifred Grua. Many people who know Stonington Borough know that Winnie and Maury had a store called Grua's Store. Winifred actually had been, I think, an assistant to the president of the Atwood Machine Company, and Maury was known for doing a lot of the photographs for weddings in the Stonington High School. And when he passed away, they didn't have children, and they had some money I think he had inherited from a brother. And at the same time, a lot of people in the borough were thinking, we really don't have a place where many people can gather. So the thought was that the old foundry building could be that space for the community to gather. And Winifred gave $500,000 to gut it and start all over again. And it was named for her husband. So Grua Center. And it was meant to serve the community and be a community gathering space. They weren't quite sure how that would work, but what they discovered was that there was incredible acoustics for music. So they bring in music performers. Our Music Matters series actually will celebrate its 10th year. Music Matters, Mystic Matters.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that before.
That's great.
I did, yeah, because on the e-blast that we send out,
Yep.
Yes,
I'm always
it's
thinking, is
Music
this something
Matters.
we're doing?
So it's been 10 years. I don't
Right.
think people realize that. And then I also have a lecture series called Military Matters. I like alliteration, so that's why I did that. But back to Grua Center, again, a community gathering space, talking. They did a lecture series called Burrowing in the Borough. So many interesting people. We've continued to do that, but the whole intention was to serve the region, not just Stonington Borough. That's where we're based. A lot of our core supporters and longtime friends live there, people who can come to your community arts center and just walk down the street. But we have 150 seats we can fill for every event. So we really want to be a regional service provider in arts and culture. And that's what the founding board realized, is that we engage community, we serve community, and strengthen the community through arts and culture.
Right.
And primarily music, because we have the great acoustics. And we own a 1922 Mason and Hamlin grand piano. And that's really lovely. So for small classical music, piano soloists, small chamber groups, jazz ensembles, we've had we've had singers, independent singer-songwriter folks who are in the area, Irish music. We can pretty much do everything except a big group, because then they'd blow the roof off the place.
Now, you have some events coming up right now, right?
We do. We actually have a jazz singer out of Norwich. People may know Lisa Marion, who's wonderful. So she's going to perform part of our jazz series.
And that's right down
yes,
the
we
screen
call
too.
it
on the 16th.
Warm Nights, Cool Jazz. And then we flip it in the winter. It's Cool Nights, Warm Jazz. Oh, aren't we clever? So Lisa will be performing, and actually her husband's part of the Latin Essence Jazz Ensemble or Quartet. I think will be with us in October. We have, I think in late August, we actually have, I mentioned our Mason and Hamlin grand piano. We have in residence yet another grand piano. It is an 1886 Chickering grand piano. It's a similar piano as to what Franz Liszt composed on.
Wow.
And Christopher Greenleaf, who serves as our artistic advisor to the Music Matters series. He's a volunteer. By profession, he's a professional recording sound engineer in the classical music world, and he travels to Europe a great deal. And he found this piano in some, I think, church in New Hampshire, and it was in amazing shape for an 1886 piano, and he's had it fully restored, and a lot of pianists are just delighted to play on it. So on August 24th, we're going to have two pianists called sort of a duo piano, and we'll be bringing both pianos, and they'll be playing some duets on that. I think Brahms is the main composer, I think, of the pieces they can do. So that's very neat.
You do some other programming as well, yes? We actually have some pictures. Maybe it would give an idea.
Yes, that's what we want, some of the images that are...
Let's see the pictures. This is a cool one. Well, we all know Jacques Pepin just lives down the road in Madison. We have a series called Food, Fitness, and Fun.
Did he cook anything? That's what I want
He
to
did
know.
not.
I know.
See what I'm saying?
He did not. But what was very cool about this presentation, he had just written his latest cookbook out of the 5 million he's written with his granddaughter Shori, who lives up in Rhode Island. So as you look at the picture, she is on the right of Jacques, And so it was a wonderful conversation with grandpa and granddaughter.
Sure, yeah, the next
talking
generation.
about kids cooking and teaching etiquette and simple recipes and how to eat healthy but fun foods and to decorate for festive occasions when you have the family to dinner. It was just a wonderful presentation, and he's probably the highest profile person that we've had, and we love that. And actually next spring we're going to have Dory Greenspan, who's also a prominent cookbook writer who lives, I think, in Westbrook. One of her homes is in Westbrook, so
Wow.
we're very
it looks
lucky.
like a full house there.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
a full house.
So most
Yay.
of your spaces, I mean, all of your lectures, you do pack them in there.
Well, when we we can put
Fit them in
150,
there, right?
and we can put about 100 on the floor and
Okay.
almost 50 in our balcony. So it's a great room. All the chairs are stackable and portable. We pull them out for every event, and we can configure it any way we want.
You do weddings and stuff like that? Do you rent
We
that
can.
out?
We are a rental space. We have had wedding ceremonies, celebrations of life. I think we've had some graduation, family meetings kinds of things. So yes, we are also a rental space for people who want to use. Also, we've had conferences.
See, I think
Different
that's
groups there as well.
something that people don't realize with the Grua Center. We're talking about a community space here, and I think that, I want to get that out a little bit more too, because I think people don't realize that's what you can use that space for. So
Right.
this is great.
Exactly. It's a little warmer than a hotel
Right.
ballroom meeting place.
Right,
And
right.
we always have some kind of, as you can tell from the photograph, it's an art exhibition space as well. So pretty much every 2 months we have rotating
Artists, yeah.
exhibitions. Currently we do an annual Stonington artist show because there's so many gifted artists just in our own town.
I know. Yeah.
And it's not curated. It's pretty much the first 50 who sign up are part of the exhibition, and it's really staggering to see how much talent there is
Wow.
in the area.
Wow.
Let's see the next photograph.
Oh, there we go. This is we do 2 kids art workshops every July. It was started by Juan O'Callahan, who was a painter who lived in Stonington
Yeah.
after a wonderful career in
Poppies.
aviation. And Juan got he was a painter and got a
Right.
bunch of his friends together to essentially do some workshops, sort of not they're teaching, but it's a hands-on workshop, painting and crafts and clay and just, to working, practicing artists to work with kids of all ages, kind of 5 to young teenagers. And then some of the teenagers, as they age out, they'll come back and be helpers.
Right, and
And
volunteer.
we did it for 4 Sundays for a number of years, and now it's 2 Sundays. And Juan passed away 2 years
Yes,
ago.
yeah.
But this is something that we keep up in his honor and memory.
Wow.
And it's a way of serving children. There are a lot of organizations in our region who can do more than we can because we have the restrictions on our space. But we also do a holiday art workshop. We partner with the Stonington Garden Club, who brings in all the greenery, and to do kind of holiday decorations in December. So we do have something that's particular for kids. We're talking about figuring out if there's something we can do on the music end too. Hillary Castle, who's a brilliant violinist from Stonington, and often comes back. She performs at Grua Center. I know she often does a fundraiser for the Nature Center. And she has I think her little boy is probably almost 2, but I think she's done some work with very young children to
Right.
introduce them to music, and so we're going to try to do something with her as time goes on.
Always growing. And the next one, Frank?
Oh, this is just our building.
Yeah, it's a beautiful building.
Because you can see it was an old foundry building, this beautiful stonework, and a lot of that stonework is also on the Stonington Commons community buildings.
You
as
can't
well.
miss the building.
Right.
When you're going, you just walk
Well, you
by.
sort of
and-
can, and that's one of our challenges.
Really? Because I don't
is-
think you.
this is
really?
sort
Maybe
of-
it's because I know the building.
As you
Right.
come in
Yeah.
from the parking lot, if you're coming for the first time, this is the back side of the building
Right.
facing the condos, which again, the place started, I wasn't here then, I think they thought that was going to be the entrance of the building. Well, we've come to find out that as we're serving a larger population, as you come into the parking lot and you look at the building, there's nothing that immediately tells you that it's Grua Center. So we were working on getting some additional signage. We have a
You know what? I think you're right, Lori.
Quote from
maybe it's
someone.
because I was
Yeah,
at
it's
the ribbon
just-
cutting years
know it,
ago, and
yeah.
I remember. Maybe it's
Yeah.
because I know the building that you're right. So it's a good
So
idea
we want to have
maybe.
a sign, and I'm saying this, we have to go through our procedures with the Stonington Commons community and planning and zoning in Stonington Borough. but we're just hoping to do
Maybe
the
an
same thing we
awning.
have there. I'm pointing to the screen.
Yeah.
The same thing we have, but also on the other side of the building. So when people come into the parking lot for the first time, oh, there it is.
That's what
Right,
that is.
right. I'm so glad you corrected me on that. Maybe it's because I'm familiar with it and know
Right.
where it's at. Tell us a little. We have a little bit of information on your lectures and talks, and one of them is on our minds.
That's just sort of we try to be clever and name something. It's current events.
Okay.
What's going on in the community? We had someone whose name now escapes me. He's the father-in-law of one of our board members, Sam Harrington, talking about end-of-life issues. We've all,
Right,
if we have
right.
aging parents or as we're aging ourselves, things like that. So he had written a book and had gone through it with his own father and gave a really wonderful talk about those sorts of issues. We're concerned, hopefully we have coming up, I'm going to do a new series, More Alliteration, Media Matters. Very concerned about what's happening to journalism and the demise of our newspapers. I think we have a pretty fabulous one here with The Day. That's not the case. I'm from northeastern Ohio, and the Youngstown Vindicator is about to go out of business. And that's an area that's very economically challenged now with the
Well, with the social media and just reading like online, you're getting the information online.
But I think to have investigative journalists to pay attention to what's happening in local government and business, I think all of us need that through journalism. So we're going to get some folks to come talk about the state of the media. We have a few commitments, nothing scheduled yet, but Emily Steele is a young woman who is from East Lyme, and she works for the New York Times, and she was part of
Emily.
She was part of the team, I think, that broke a lot of the Me Too stories. And she's been in China much of the last year, so hopefully she'll be coming to be with us. Mara Casey,
Yep.
a longtime
Mara Casey, yeah.
writer for The Day and on the editorial team for the Hartford Courant and the New York Times, lives in North Franklin, and she's going to help curate that series. A woman named Connie Schultz, who's won the Pulitzer Prize for commentary, is from my hometown of Ashtabula, Ohio.
Wow.
And she has a community on Facebook of nearly 200,000 and still writes a weekly column. And she's married to Sherrod Brown, who's one of the U.S. senators from Ohio. And they just went through a little, dip their toes in to see if they wanted to be one of the 5 million Democrats to run for president.
Wow.
They chose not to. But Connie has had her she just writes wonderful opinion columns, I think, that are political and also very personal. And she has, a close relationship with somebody who's in the thick of the Washington, D.C. politics. But she has a really interesting online community on Facebook. And she's also written her first novel. So she's going to come at some point next year when the book comes out.
So when you go for programming, you must have so many ideas. And how many staff people do you have over there?
Oh, I lead a crack staff of 2.
A crack staff of 2.
I'm the executive director, and Kelly Rocherell is our program director, and she does all the programming and keeps our calendar. But I still have something to do with programming as well.
Yeah.
And we get ideas from, we generate ideas. We get ideas from our board members. We get ideas from supporters and neighbors. We get ideas from people who pitch us ideas. Performers have agents who reach out, and so we do not lack for ideas. It's always, do we have the time and resources
Right. I think
to do everything we want
it.
to?
I tell my staff, I say, those are great ideas, but it's executing those ideas.
Exactly.
And
So
that takes time and energy and sometimes financial resources also.
All of those things.
Right.
All of
Now,
those
can
things.
anyone be a member of La Grua, or how does that work?
We don't have a membership model right
Okay.
now. We're so small. I know a lot of organizations do that. I think at this point, we don't need to have that. I think we do have donors, and we do an annual report every year. But so far, we've done it alphabetically. Someone might give $10,000, someone might give $10, and if their names are in alphabetical order, their names are next to each other, which is a model. I think most nonprofits have donor levels and membership plans. And I think if we were a bigger organization, we might do that as well. I think it's a very sound model. I've used it a lot in my career. But for right now, it's very much open.
Well, it seems community-minded as well.
It's community-minded, and I think our donors, when it began, it was all, people gave us some money and y'all come, it's free.
Right.
Yeah, I remember when
Which is great,
opening up
but
the
not very
center.
sustainable.
Yeah, right.
So we do have two staff members. We do have an electric bill and air conditioning and all the things that go into running a space, and performers need to be paid and so forth. So I think, but our commitment is our donors give us money so that we can have very affordable prices. That most of our concerts are $15 and $20. Our lectures are usually suggested donation of $5, unless it's a big name person where there might be a book sale or something like that. And I think that's really reasonable, and hope it means that a lot of people can afford to come.
Right. So you've been there 2 years now, I think, Lori, right?
Is it 3 years?
3 years, 2 weeks ago.
Okay, all right, because I couldn't remember how long. I
Yep.
was trying to think about that when you were coming out on the show. So I know you might have a vision. Or does the board have a vision
Yeah.
of where, because you want to grow. You want to grow and continue to be profitable, and also continue to support your mission. And do you have a vision for the next 5 years or so? Or
We're about to work on one.
Okay, so
I think we have been, the mission is to engage community via arts and culture, and that we want to have an enriched cultural life for everyone who lives in our region, and play our small part in bringing that about. But I think a lot of that has to do with reaching a wider audience. As I said, I'm surprised how many people don't know about us, so that we are trying to reach beyond the borough.
Right.
Because, just think of going into Stonington Borough, you go over that big viaduct that goes over the railroad tracks, and a lot of people don't feel welcome.
right.
And they think, oh, that's just some private enclave or something.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that we get that word out that, no, we are open to the public. We're happy to have many visitors from all over the place. So we have an outreach committee. We are doing some diversity, equity, and inclusion training to try to look at age, race and ethnic diversity, towns, starting with our own board. We've invited some new people, I think, from Groton. So it's not just
Wait a minute,
Stonington
that's
Borough.
over 2 bridges.
Yes, exactly.
Wait a minute, can we
A
talk
couple of
about that,
bridges.
Lori, for a minute?
So board members who are in their 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
And to try to make sure that our programming is also diverse, that we have established and emerging artists, that we have gender diversity, we have age diversity, race and ethnicity diversity as well. So that's very important to us. So we're doing some trainings on that and broadening our horizons. We also, I just mentioned, when we started out, everything was free. Well, now we have a robust annual fund. We look for business sponsorships for some of our events, and we charge admission for events, so we have earned income as well. But we're looking at sustainability over the long term. So there's some conversations about how we do some planned giving and perhaps start an endowment.
Right.
Well, all of these are good ideas. Right now, we don't have the capacity. I mean, the job is probably, I like to say, probably 50% bigger than it was when I took a full-time job 3 years ago.
Of course.
Again, we don't lack for ideas.
Right.
So we are going to do some strategic planning so that we can really wrestle with all of these wonderful ideas, prioritize them, figure out if we have the resources, and if we don't, how we go about getting them. So that's going to be happening over the next year. I think we're just finishing up some of our diversity, equity, inclusion training, and we'll go right into a strategic planning process.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, all these good ideas. How do we figure it out in terms of timing and resources? If that space is empty, arguably we can put more programming into it. But then you have to market it. You have to all those things that go along with that. We're flat out right now, so we have to figure out the ways to do that.
Right.
It's a real gem, though.
Yeah,
It's really a great addition to Stonington Borough. It really gives a life to that
It does.
area.
It does. But I can
We hope
understand
so.
also, listening to Lori, and also being sort of where my stories is captured in the middle. I mean, I'm not in downtown Mystic, and I'm not in the borough, so I sort of get everything. So people will stop in and say, "Where's the little Grua Center?" We get that. And I was like, "Well, you just keep going up Route 1, and because a lot of times, sometimes they'll come in, they'll say there's this lecture or something, or and I get it from the other way too. They'll stop in and they'll say, listen, I need to get to Sift or something, and I'll say, well, go that way. So we're right in the middle. But
we're so lucky that the region is small.
Yes.
I live in Old Lyme. It's not that damn far.
No, you know what? Listen, but that's over. That's another bridge.
Yeah.
You can't go over those bridges. You know, it's really funny. And I grew up probably in the center of downtown Mystic, and it was like, well, that's over the bridge, so you can't go there. Westerly is out of town. I mean, I said to somebody the other day,
it's a state border and a river.
I said, they said, where did you get these wonderful rolls? I was serving some stuff at my house. I said, at McQuaid's. They said, thank God it's right in the backyard. I said, no, I actually went to Westerly. You went all the way to Westerly, McQuaid's, to get rolls. I was like, well, yeah. I
had somebody say, you live in Old Lyme? See, I've lived in Washington, D.C., and New York City, and Los Angeles, so I know what a real commute is actually like.
Right.
This is not one, but I also, because I'm not from here,
right.
I think of things more regionally, and I was a part of helping create the Southeastern Connecticut Cultural Coalition 6 or 7 years ago, and I think where arts and culture really can help model for the larger community ways of thinking regionally. I mean, I know our towns are very dear to people and have that sort of identity, but part of what we do as a community is think more broadly. So it's the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce.
Right. Yes, and agree. And I do, and everybody out there, I know we only have a few minutes, but it's just a great space, and information is down there if you want to get a hold of Lori. But I want to sort of connect that a little bit with the Kate. The Kate was when they first started out, it was like, oh, the Kate, that's an old Saybrook. And it's kind of like that kind of thing. And they have expanded in their programs.
Oh my gosh.
And now, I don't know how many years later.
They're as old as we are, but they have a bigger space. And you look at their programming calendar, I think those people work 80-hour weeks.
Right.
It's
just
but
it's amazing. Similar in the messaging, I think. And where the Kate is
cultural
in this.
hub.
Right, and when they first were building it, and it's in Old Saybrook, this little Main Street town. Well, I see it very similar to the La Grua Center, and all of the arts and culture and lectures, and so there is a lot of hope for the La Grua Center. It's just a great space, and Lori has done a great job.
Thank you.
I just want to let you know that I had the last name right. It was Kristin that didn't have the last name right, but we got it right now. So some of the things that are coming up, Frank, just post those for us a little bit, and we'll make sure all that information gets out. There we go. The Jazz Singer with Lisa Marion, and I think we got a couple.
Oh, Lottie Scott. Many people know her from Norwich.
Lottie
She's
Scott,
a wonderful civil rights activist, wrote her book.
These are the recent things that are coming up. And Lori, thank you so much for being on the show. It's nice to see you on the show and not at an event where we get to talk to you and learn more about you.
I'm delighted to be here.
And what you have going on at the La Grua Center.
Thank you so much.
Kristin, thank you again.
Susette.
And I will see you in the next couple of weeks. Again, we are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. Mystic Matters. Good evening.